Okay, I think it's working now. Sounds okay, good. Yes. Turning down the output sounds like it's coming through pretty loud for me. So, okay, I think this is good. I'm just going to go with this for now. I'm getting some positive feedback. Thank you. Okay. um, let's see, where are we at? About 12 minutes, 13 minutes behind schedule. Not terrible for a first time. All right. With that said, welcome to Rocket Science Gallery Live. As you can see, we're still working on this expansion, but as far as I can tell right now, all the functional components are now working, which is what the engineers care about most anyways. So a big part of this, as you can see, has been a technical demo, basically just to make sure that all this streaming stuff is operational. So this is why I'm going to be doing just a simple, relatively simple game that doesn't have a whole lot of timing elements or audio settings to deal with here. Basically, a big part of this is that I want to be able to um, review games a lot faster than I do now. So if you're not familiar, for the last couple of years, I've been reviewing sci-fi games to see how realistic the science fiction elements of the game are. I have a background in engineering with 3 engineering degrees, and I'm currently working at a commercial space station company. So I've been playing sci-fi games and researching what elements of them are realistic. And so this is a really fun time. A lot of cool stuff to learn about and experience in the sci-fi games. But the problem is, it usually takes many months to get one of these reviews done, which takes basically a lot of my free time during those months. So, as an alternative here, I'm going to try doing some shorter reviews that can be done in a game, like a game that can be completed in one sitting or so, or two, maybe over a weekend, for example. And those reviews, I'll be able to review them live and provide real time commentary on what we're seeing in the game. And that way, it doesn't have to take weeks and months of editing the video after I've already recorded and played the game. And you could just get the whole experience in one sitting. So, and if it does warrant more research, I can go back and create another video on top of that. Or we just stick with what we get. So, that's the ultimate goal of this live streaming setup. Obviously, it's cool talking to people live too. If you do have comments on the games I'm playing, I love reading them, and I really appreciate people who are experts in their fields telling me things that I've missed as well. So, if you want to go check those videos out, you can. If you just want to learn how to play 5D chess, you're welcome to stick around for that as well. But that's sort of the idea behind what we're doing tonight. This is a technical demo of the streaming process, and also just a way to see how 5D chess works. So I think that about covers everything. Again, I'm okay on the point of 5D chess. I am definitely not a chess master myself. I know how to play. I don't know many openings by name, but I can play it fairly decently, and I can play 5D chess. At least I like to think so. So with that, we can get into it. Now, as you might expect, there are basically two important elements to learning how to play 5D chess. That is knowing how chess pieces work, which is kind of obvious, and then knowing how to think and process 5 dimensions, the other half of the title. So there's a lot of background to this game that it is included in the game guide, but a lot of it is sort of, you just have to learn by experience or just by seeing it happen. And I'll try to explain how exactly things work as I'm doing them to the best of my ability. And if anything doesn't make sense, please, you're welcome to put something in the chat and let me know too. So basically, 5D chess is the typical 3D chess that we're used to, expanded with 2 additional dimensions. Now, this might sound a little odd because a chessboard is 2 dimensional. So in that case, we have 2 spatial dimensions. Actually, no, I'm going to go to a actual chessboard while I'm doing this, just to give us a better idea what we're talking about here. So a chessboard has two spatial dimensions, that is essentially the rows and columns. These are the two dimensions that we're used to. The third dimension in this case is time. So in this case, mathematically, I think this is a Minkowski space. You're basically considering the time or turn of the game as the third dimension. And in that third dimension, every time you make a move, you progress forward in that dimension. So that is where we get a typical three-dimensional chess game from. Now, that's all well and good. A third time dimension is at least somewhat familiar to us. The tricky part comes in when you add in an additional two space dimensions. An additional space dimension, and then make this time dimension or turns that we're already used to a dimension that doesn't need to go, strictly speaking, forward. So once you okay, I'm going to end this game here and go to a good example in one of these puzzles. Quick overview here as well. Whenever you're playing this game, you'll have each turn represented in this timeline here. So you're going to be seeing these are white's moves, these are black's moves, white, black, and this will become important shortly, as you'll see. You basically need to keep track of all the previous moves that have taken place in the game, as well as where the pieces are on the board right now, or in the present, so to speak. So in this case, your space dimension, or your time dimension, which is going along the number of turns you've taken, can also be traversed in the reverse direction to what we're typically used to. So I'm going to show a brief example of one of the pieces here, which is the rook. And as you can see, it's already highlighting some of this reverse time dimensions with the green squares that it can move to. Now, rooks are a very simple example of how the rest of the pieces work in this 5-dimensional space. I'll explain that as I go because they're going to get more complicated, basically. So the rook is fairly simple in 3-dimensional chess. You can only move along any row or column in any amount of squares. In a higher dimension, the rook can also move along that same row or along that same dimension, any number of squares. So you can move in one dimension at a time. And in this case, there's the additional dimension that it can move in is in the turn time dimension. I'm going to click this. This is going to show you what I'm talking about. So as you can see here, the rook is able to move backwards in time to the place on the board that was present at those turns. Basically, yeah, it's time travel. It's somewhat complicated. Yeah, the rook is able to move backwards in time along the same square that it's currently on. So it's only moving in that one dimension. I'm pointing at it like you can see it, but it's only moving backwards in that one dimension. So that is an allowable form, or an extension of the rook's capabilities from a standard 3D chess game. Now, I will explain this in more detail later, but to start with, we can show the easiest example, or I guess a way to look at this, hopefully not, maybe not the easiest example, but hopefully easy. The solution to this puzzle here. So once the rook moves to this location here, that is going to allow it to move backwards in time along this same square to each of these previous locations. And so this becomes a checkmate because the rook is now able to move backwards in time to where the king was on that square in the past. So this brings up the point of how checkmates work in this game. I think I can show, yes. So the meaning of checkmate is largely similar in that you have to not allow your king to be captured. But as you can see here, the king is present at multiple places in time. So you essentially have multiple kings to deal with in the time dimension. So if a king in the past is being checked and you can't reverse that or escape that check, then the next move that I could make with this rook would be to capture that king. And that makes it a checkmate because the black king here cannot prevent that check from taking place. So this is relatively simple right now because we're only dealing with time dimensions on top of our rows and columns. So this, really, that's about as simple as I can make it, I feel like. You have an additional dimension, which is basically stacking every turn's board on top of itself. And you can move up and down through that board, through that space. So basically, it's adding you can think of this as adding a third spatial dimension that's sitting on top of the board. So every time you play a move, you create a new chessboard with the pieces in the new position. And so your vertical direction is along that time dimension now. Hopefully that makes some sense. Yeah, hopefully that makes some sense because it's going to get more complicated than that. All right, so we'll close this one out now. Now we can go to a bit more complicated one. Okay, so here we have an example of time travel and the multiverse part of the game title. Now in this case, as you can see here, this is the progression of moves from the first or the original timeline, basically. And so you can see here that the king has gone back in time to the chessboard that it started from. Now, the way the time travel is set up in this game is that you cannot alter past events. So wherever pieces have been in the past, they will stay, that history cannot be changed. This is maybe not the best example of that. We'll get to that though. Basically though, what this means is that whenever you travel back in time, you're creating a new branch of the game that progresses separately from the branch that you left. So this is another dimension, in some sense of the word, in which the game is continuing to take place. And so you now have an additional dimension in the space direction. So this is another spatial dimension. So if we look at this rook here, we can see that not only are the boards stacked on top of each other in the time direction, like we saw previously, but now the board is also stacked on top of every other dimension, or branch, more accurately. Excuse me. Every board is stacked on top of every other branch. And so since the rook is still capable of moving along any one dimension, then we're able to move along this spatial dimension into other branches with the rook. So this is essentially another extension of the rook's basic capabilities in 3D chess. So in this case, now that we have multiple kings in place, I guess multiple kings on the same board. This gets really tricky when you have multiple kings and multiple timelines. But for now, we can show a way to do a mate in one, which appears to be, let's see here. Okay, right. That wasn't correct anyways. All right, so another point to note here is that now that we have two boards in the present, you have to basically progress the game on all branches simultaneously. The tricky part with this is that once you get more dimensions, you eventually start, the game will eventually start piling up if you keep playing them all simultaneously. So there's a rule in the game, which is that after either player has branched once, if they branch another time, like if I go back in time with this rook, it will create another branch which moves the present back to that point. So, okay, counterexample to what I just said. Basically, white had branched previously, now black has branched again, and now this creates another branch in the multiverse here. I don't like the term, but we're going to go with it. So what this means is that now this is the current most recent timeline in the turn dimension, the time dimension. So this is where the present has moved to. This is where the game is taking place. This is also going to get much more complicated once you start factoring in to travel across dimensions. But for now, we'll go with it one thing at a time. So at this point, if you were to keep traveling back in time and creating new branches, you would get a massive pile of timelines, which can happen, but to keep the game from just getting clogged up and unplayable, only timelines that have been generated that are required to progress the... let me rephrase that. Once a player has branched more than one time, the extra branches after the first one are inactive until the other player has branched an equal amount of times. I might need to confirm that once we get to actual gameplay here. But this will make a lot more sense once we actually start playing the game, and I can point to specific instances of what's actually happening. So in this case, let's just go back to how the rook is operating here. Basically, we have to make two moves on one on each of these timelines here. And the point is to capture one or both of these kings. Now, this is fairly simple here because, relatively simple, because both kings are on the same timeline. So don't have to worry about cross-dimensional multi-checkmates at this point. Right now, we'll just go with a single checkmate here. I'll explain what's happening here. All right, so let me know if the game volume is too loud. I have to figure that out still. So as we saw previously, the rook is able to travel back in time through this one square and checkmate the king in the past. But you might be wondering, well, there's two kings here that can both capture this rook. Why can't they do that? And that is because this rook here, it's not letting me highlight the motion, but this rook here is able to move across the timelines to this same spot. So if a king were to take this rook would be able to cross the timeline and capture it back. So you're not allowed to do that. Yeah, that's... Again, now since both kings are on the same timeline, it's fairly simple, relatively simple, but this will still get more complicated. But yeah, for now, we can go with that. Let me check this one. I believe this one has... okay, now let's not worry about this one yet. Okay, so here we have... Oh, that's right. No, the king did escape on this one. So I'll just note here quickly that once a king moves to the other timeline, you basically can't win with just this empty timeline now. You can move some of your pieces onto the other timeline, but then if you move them into the past, that will create another branch, which is then inactive until the other player starts branching further. Not exactly the most helpful thing here, but let me go ahead and try to solve this one quick. Yeah, there we go. So same thing again, the rook is able to move... Sound check again. The rook is able to move across dimensions to capture that king, just like we saw previously. All right. I'm going to leave it at that for now as far as the checkmate. Okay, thank you for feedback on the game sound. I'm going to leave it at that now for the checkmates. We'll get to the multi-timeline checkmates in a moment here. It will come up in one of these future examples. I'm just going to show briefly how the other pieces work. The knight is somewhat simple, so we'll go with this. So the knight, in addition to, it basically maintains its L-shaped movement, which is move one square in one dimension and then two squares in another dimension. Now in this case, that means that you can move through time, turn time basically, in as one of those two dimensions that you're traveling through. So in here, you're moving two spatial dimensions and then one time dimension. So in this case, let's see. Yeah, getting a check with a knight is very interesting in this game. So I believe, okay, I'll just use this to demonstrate as well. The knight here, this is, okay. That's going to take a lot to explain. I'll just stick with this for now. The knights here can still move along the fourth dimension, the spatial dimension here as well, in the same manner as it does in time dimensions. So, it's a knight. Okay. There we go. So you can see here, the knight is moving two time dimensions over, and then one spatial dimension over. Yeah, these take a little practice to visualize with the knights, but they're somewhat simple. It's similar process to the rooks, where you're moving along one dimension and then moving along the other. As far as it's just linear motion basically. So I can do one more knight one, just since these are all mate in one tests. So here, and then another point to keep in mind here, as long as we're going through these, is that it's important to keep track of the arrangement of the pieces on previous turns, because those pieces are still in play. You can't move them yourself, but you can still attack them. So the present is, actually this is a good segue into what the actual fifth dimension of this game is. So in normal chess, you have 2 dimensions in space and 1 dimension in time, which is the turn. In this game, you have 2 dimensions in space, a time dimension in turns, and a spatial dimension in branches. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 dimensions here. Now the fifth dimension of this game is essentially what you would call in physics, I think, would be proper time. So this is basically the turn of the people playing the game. So there's a spatial, there's a time dimension outside the ones that the pieces are able to move to, which is you are taking a turn that is progressing along this outer time dimension, or time viewed from the point of view of the people playing the game. So actually, is this, that's not right. So you don't really need to factor this into piece movement as much, but it's just, that's where the fifth dimension comes from here. So in this case, let me just, there we go. So you can see here, the knight is moving 2 squares over, and then 1 square in space. Or sorry, multi-dimensional branching over. All right. So now that we've got that, we can move on to the bishop. The bishop is one of the most confusing pieces to use in this game. You'll pick it up eventually, but it's just harder to visualize than the knight and the rook. Basically, the bishop can move along any diagonal in any 2 dimensions. So as you see on a chessboard, it can move along 1 square over in X and 1 square over in Y, opposite of what I just said. But that's how a bishop will work, basically. In this game, the bishop is able to move diagonally along any 2 dimensions, which includes time or alternate branches, as we'll see. So in this case, the bishop moves over 1 square in space, and then it moves back 1 square in time. And so that is still considered an extension of the way a bishop operates in traditional chess. This makes it kind of tricky to plan out checkmates or attacks with the bishop. Basically, you just have to keep in mind how the boards are stacked when you're looking at places where the bishop can attack to. So, for example, if I were to not move this bishop, and it was taken. So that didn't help my point. Basically, in this position right now, the bishop can move back 1 point in time and 1 space point upwards. So if it were to stay here for one more turn, this wreath, I can't think of a word, would expand out 1 square further, and you'd be able to check the king back in time. We're not able to do that here, though, because the pawn is advancing. We will have to talk about pawns separately at some point, too. So I'll just do this. Now, in this case, this is probably a relatively simple example. You can see here that the bishop is moving over 1 square in space, 1 back 1 square in time, and then again over 1 square in space and back 1 in time. Yeah, like I said, these are kind of tricky to figure out how to actually use on a regular basis. Yeah, we've gotten through most of the complicated parts, though, so don't worry, we're getting there. I'll do one more bishop one here. So, let me just look at it for a second. Okay. All right. So this is a good example of, in addition to the bishop moving diagonally in time, it can also move diagonally in space. So you can move, yeah, this gets pretty complicated. So in this setting, the bishop is moving 1 square over in space and then 1 square over in the other space to check the king at this point. Additionally to that, the bishop can move 1 square over in time and then 1 square over in time, which would be over here, and then 1 square over in space. And it can do that in both a forward direction in time, so it would end up on this square, I believe. Oh, sorry, this square. Or it can move across the negative time direction to go backwards in time to a previous square. So it's another thing to keep in mind here is that when you're using pieces to attack, I guess I did mention this earlier, but when you're using pieces to attack, you have to keep in mind that they can move backwards in time as well. So that will that you can apply that into your strategies as well. It takes some getting used to figure out how to do that. All right, pawns are fairly simple. We can do this relatively quickly. Actually, this is just okay. Okay, that didn't really help my case for 5D chess, but all right. So the pawn is almost the same as it is in 3D chess, except that its capture and movement capabilities are expanded into these additional dimensions. What this means is that the pawn is able to move, or advance rather, in a direction toward your opponent's pieces. In this case, in the extra space dimension, this means that you are advancing towards your opponent's timelines. So basically, in this case, the opponent has branched, or sorry, player has branched, and so the pawn can move towards the opponent's timeline, I guess, or their branches, basically. It would be a better way to put it. So if black were to branch, it would go up here on top. So that's where the opposite direction of the player branches. The pawn moves in that direction. That creates another branch that goes down to the player side. So hopefully that makes some amount of sense. In addition to that, the pawn is able to attack like it does normally. So as you can see there, it is able to check the king in... Oh, sorry, that wasn't right. Like this. There we go. So the pawn here is attacking one dimension over and one dimension to the side, like it does in normal chess, except that... It's going to let me show. Yeah. Except that the dimension that it's going diagonally in is both space and time. Oh, sorry, I pointed to that wrong. But yeah, it's basically the pawn is moving one square over in space dimension, not on the board, and then one square over in time, again, not on the board. So they'd still only move forward in that sense, except they can move backwards in time in a way that is somewhat reminiscent of their being able to move left or right on a chessboard, as you can see here. Yeah, it does get confusing. So other than that, you can still promote a pawn in the same way as normal. I believe it still only works on an individual chessboard. I don't think there's a way to promote a pawn by progressing through timelines, as far as I'm aware. Okay. We can go over the queen pretty quickly here. Queen acts just like it does in the normal chessboard, except you basically get... you can move in any number of squares in any number of dimensions simultaneously. This gets sort of messy when you're dealing with a lot of timelines, but it's at least somewhat easy to keep track of. Just as long as you can make draw a line, for example, between any two squares in any number of dimensions, you're able to move there. So here, let's go... Let's see. I think this does it. Not quite. Okay, yeah. So you can see here, the queen is able to move along the rows and columns, diagonals, and then it can also move diagonally through time, just like a bishop would. So in this case, let's try to get that a little bit more accurate. There we go. So you see here, the queen is moving diagonally through time to check the king in the past. Yeah. These are still one of the most powerful pieces on the board as a result of this. And you can lose very quickly to an opponent queen that gets in just the right spot, which really for any pieces, it's easy to lose faster in this game than it is in 3D chess. All right. Fairly self-explanatory. The king is a very interesting example here. So I didn't figure this out for a long time after starting to play. It's somewhat counterintuitive, but a king is actually able to deliver a checkmate to an opponent's king. Because if you set it up correctly, the king is going to be attacking a spot... Oh, I'm playing a spot here. The king is going to be attacking a spot in the past where the previous king is not able to escape from. So it's essentially a one-way check in that example. I'll try to find it here fairly quickly. Let's see. Oh, sorry. First, I should explain this. The king is able to move one square in any number of dimensions, but as previously, as the other pieces expand upon too, it can move one square in any number of dimensions, which includes space and time. So you're able to move across branches and forward and backwards through time. Here, though, you can see, yeah. So in this case... Oh, that's not right. And I lost. Okay, well, it still gives a good... No, okay. As you see, checkmate still works the same with... Okay, I guess I didn't talk about this previously. So what we can see here is that black has a king in check that it cannot escape from. However, this king in the future is still fine, and it's not being checked at all. And neither is this king, this other king on this branch. So, yes, the designer of this game, by the way, is Connor Peterson. The game is $12 on Steam. Very well worth it if you haven't played it, or if you enjoy chess or higher dimensions. It's enjoyable in some form. All right, so as you can see, not all of the kings are in check or checkmate here. So the way this works is that if any king of yours is in check and you're not able to escape from it in the present, that means you're in checkmate. Kings in the future are essentially at another, they're not at the fifth dimensional present, the game time present. So those pieces are basically not being played at this point, or they're not those timelines are not active, or this board square isn't active yet. So once we move the active time dimension back to this board, this becomes the active time dimension. And so this is where the kings that are being kept track of are. I had an extended thought to make on that, but I lost it. Basically, so this kind of can be played into your favor, where if, let's say I saw this bishop coming, which I didn't, but if I saw that coming, I saw, oh no, if I make one more move here, that bishop is going to be able to move into this spot and checkmate a king that is down here. So if that's the case, I should probably use another example for this. But I can basically, so say that check was going to take place here. I can move backwards in time to move the present. Okay, this isn't a great example of this here. I'll explain this again once we get into an actual setting where this becomes relevant. Otherwise, I don't want to overly confuse people who are probably already confused, as I am at some points as well in this game. Yeah, there's a lot of times you'll just be, oh, I guess I got a random checkmate from a piece that I didn't even see coming. That does happen quite a bit. So in this case, let me take another look at this. King, okay. So as I mentioned too, the present is still over here. So that means this king, you can still move it because it is your turn in the game, but it's not going to affect the actual rest of the actual present time. You can use this to your advantage though to create another branch, which in some cases you can move to from the present, basically giving yourself more chessboard to work with in some form of the phrase. So let me take a look at this here. Again, this is a pretty... Oh, okay, here we go. So I'm going to move... I don't think that works. Okay, well, at least I can show you how the king check works here. So basically, now that the king is in this spot, it is able to move to any of these adjacent squares, and one of those has a king in it. So if this king were to move to this spot, it would capture this king. But this king itself exists in the past, which cannot be changed, and so it can't escape the check. And it also can't deliver a check in the opposite direction. So it basically is a one-way check, as previously mentioned. These are particularly confusing, especially to set up. I've never actually executed a king checkmate like this before, except in the puzzles, which I suspect are going to involve a more advanced technique here. Or maybe not. Okay. So here's a good example of king motion. So king is able to move in one square in any of these dimensions, and in 3 of them there is a king there, where you would be able to move the king forward one more square and it would capture a king, thus making this a checkmate. So yeah. As you can see too, you're capturing multiple kings on this setup. It doesn't matter as long as one king is able to be checkmated. Although personally, it is kind of cool when you're able to get a multi-checkmate after many, many branches have formed and you've been time traveling for many minutes at this point. All right. There are also some additional pieces in this game that I'm not going to cover because I don't really play with them very much. That being the unicorn and dragon. I'll mention them in a moment here. I did not finish. Oh, okay. I had these all done and apparently my progress reset, but I can do one of these here. Actually, let's try this one. Okay. So let's see. Also, in these puzzles too, we're working with a condensed chessboard just to sort of simplify things a little bit. You do play with a full-size chessboard once we get there. I'll get to that in just a moment. I just want to try one more of these. See if I can demonstrate any additional techniques here, such as the past branching approach that I was hinting at. Okay. And like I said, it's important to keep in track of where pieces are in previous iterations of the board because those pieces are still in play. Okay, and it's a mate in 1. Also, you can see here too that okay, not exactly the best example, but a piece that would normally be able to move backwards in time will be stopped by obstructed by a piece that's in its way, basically the same as it would on a 2D chessboard. Just a quick note there. Oh, further point of clarification too. Once a piece, you might have noticed this by now, but once a piece moves back in time, the next turn in that timeline is the one after that piece has moved. Just a bit of a clarification. So let's see. Now it's tempting to think that you could use the knight here, but then the king will just move to another timeline and then create another timeline where it is no longer in check. This gets annoying. You'll think you'll have them cornered and then just escape to another timeline. So the trick then, let's see. So oftentimes the trick, if they're going to escape to a past time, another timeline, the trick is to capture them in the past in such a way. Oh, that's still in the past. All right. Another thing you can do in these puzzles, at least that's somewhat helpful, is to just sort of actually, hold on. Yeah, that's not going to work. Okay. Oops. All right, I can't move. Okay, can't move the past any further back. So basically at this point, I have the king dead to rights here, but because that timeline, that place is before the present in the game turn time dimension, or on the board turn time dimension, that timeline is not active yet. So, and it won't become active until black branches, which he won't do because if he does, then he loses. So you basically, at this point, you've locked him out from branching, which means that if he does branch, then he will lose. And that means that he can't escape from this standard 2D check. Yeah. So that's I guess it's not exactly the escape attempt that I was mentioning earlier. This is basically you prevent your opponent from being able to escape along another dimension, essentially. It's like blocking blocking them in with a pawn or a rook, or a pawn rather, to prevent them from escaping, but in 5 dimensions. All right. I'll do one more. Hopefully we have. There's a technique I want to show here that I'm not seeing it in these puzzles yet. Okay, but that's in the future, so I need to progress this timeline as well, which I will do by. A lot of time this is just setting up a nice move, but I guess this is in this puzzle. It means that there is a way, like an actual best move. A lot of the time, as at least the way I play chess, you just want to get your pieces into a spot where it becomes advantageous, however they're set up. This isn't going to work though. Yeah. I don't think this is the escape attempt. Yeah, okay. For the sake of time, okay, I'll solve it while I'm here, but I do want to actually get to play at least one full game before I end the stream tonight. Now, well, yeah, since this is a mate in 1, typically you would think of that as just there's one move you need to make. But since we have multiple timelines, then you need to move. There's going to be at least 2 moves in place here, or probably. So I'm probably going to need to create another branch in some way, but that's too far forward. If I move back here, this creates another. Wait, can I move to that one? No, I can't. Okay, so that's still too far away to move any of these pieces to. I can do this. So I want to try. I'm expecting that I'm going to have to do some timeline jumping here in order to actually get to a point where I'm checking a king. So this isn't going to work. The knight isn't able to reach anything. So as you can see, if there's no way to check on the 2-dimensional chessboard, you're going to have to get creative, basically, in order to find a spot. In this case, we know there's a move that will result in a mate, but a lot of times you don't, I mean, typically. And it's basically, again, just getting your pieces in an optimal position to actually deliver a checkmate. That's 2 branches. That's not going to work. I lost. Multiple ways, actually. There we go. Yeah, that tends to happen a lot of times. Let's see. I'll give this one more try, but I don't want to waste all night on this too. I am happy to admit that I am not able to solve all of these all of these puzzles. Actually, hold on. So this bishop is able to move back to that rook right now. So if I were to move it... See, that's what I said. Bishops are tricky to visualize where they're going to be able to move. In this case, looks like I'm going to have to. That doesn't appear to... Well, I might be able to do this. Don't think that's right. No. Let's check. All right. I'm gonna leave this one unsolved for tonight. Yeah. Knowing that there is a correct move to make here, I'm just not seeing it in time. Normally, you just make a move and go with it, as with at least the way I play chess. So I will leave that one for another day for now. I'll just do a CPU match here. There are some additional ways you can play chess here as well, different modes. I haven't done most of these here, but no bishops. That sounds great, actually. We'll just stick with the standard game here. Now, it has been my experience in the past that if you don't make a time jump, then the CPU doesn't usually. I don't know if that's still the case, if they've patched that or not, but I'm just going to try to do a simple approach here. Yeah, so like you see, it's... Okay, so I didn't like that. So now I want to move back in time so I can set up that attack again. So I'm not going to like that either, though, because the bishop's there. So I'll go even further back in time. And this is kind of part of what makes this get overly complicated pretty quickly. If you just branch often and as many times as you want, you're going to get tons of different chessboards here, all of which have to be played simultaneously. And it becomes very difficult to keep track of the interactions of pieces across timelines, especially. So you generally don't want to branch unless you have to, or if it's advantageous to do so. So now we're back in the past in the game time. So this is the now active chessboard here. And I still have my queen here. Now if I do this, the knight doesn't appear to be able to get me. Okay, the queen has moved. Okay, so now they have two queens on the same board, which is very problematic. And I'm no longer able to win by doing this. So, actually, if I do that, this queen will be able to take me then. Because it's right next to it. So, I'm going to not do that now. Instead, I can do this. And now I can take that queen with this bishop by going across the timelines. Okay, and now we're still not in a great spot in either of these, but at least on this board, we don't have a black queen to worry about. So, although, okay, this knight is getting kind of close, though. But I think he's okay for now. Actually, if he moves here, he can check me from the past. We don't, but the knight can capture him still. So, we're still okay there. All right. Let's just develop. All right, I have to play both of these now. Okay, fair enough. Can still castle, which is nice. Just to make a note of that. That I don't like where that knight is at, though. So I am going to just put my queen in a position where I can capture that knight next if I need to. Actually, no, the queen... Oh yeah, that one can't move there. Okay. Okay, so he's getting scared. He's progressing, or he's branching timelines now. I got 3 bishops on that board. That's... And he's also moved the timeline backward, or the present backwards as well. So, however, this might give me some additional options to move pieces across timelines. Don't want to leave this one too barren, though. Let's do this. Oh man. Okay, so he's just set this one up as an offensive board, and this is now his decent defensive board where he's got 2 kings. And he's still keeping the timeline back at this point. So he can't branch anymore, I believe, because he's done 2 branches. So he can't run and hide like he's doing now for some reason until I branch again. But once I move again, then we're going to have multiple boards active. So this is going to get pretty messy here. I'm just going to castle since it's going to get messy. Okay. Interesting. So now there's no queen on this board. But this one looks like he's trying to set something up. Okay. And you can see I'm already up to 4 boards to play simultaneously in like a few minutes worth of gameplay. So, and you gotta also, technically I should be keeping in track all these previous times as well, because I can technically branch back here if I want to, but he is not, the CPU is not able to branch any further because he's already branched twice. I've only branched once, so I have to branch one more time before he can do it and actually move the past backwards. So I have him in a good position there, where if I need to, I can escape into the past, such as with this queen. I'll just move this back here to demonstrate this. So suppose that I was in a position in one of these present chessboards where I'm sunk. Like the king, my king is completely trapped. Say these pieces are in here. This king is, okay. Visualize it basically. If that's the case and there's no way for me to evade the check on this current time, a turn, I can take a queen, not from that chessboard actually, because that one is still the present. Say it was happening on this board, the king is exposed. So if this is the board where the checkmate is occurring, or the check is about to occur, I can take this board here and this queen and say, okay, I'm going to actually go back in time. And now this becomes the present, and this chessboard here is basically unresolved. So it's, or all of these are. So basically, whatever check or move that would capture king would take place up here, it's not happening yet. So you're in check, but you're not in checkmate. Or I guess you're not technically in check at this point, because the active boards are all the way back here. However, this means that if you want to win, you have to do so before the present advances back up to this point. Now, in this case, I can't go back in time again because that would create... Actually, I can do that one more time, but it won't move the present back further. It might. Not sure about that. But basically, you can only do this so many times, like what happened with black up here, until you're not able to create new branches anymore, and so you can't run back and hide in the past. So I'm going to avoid doing that now, but keeping that in mind. It's also a nice application of rooks, because once you castle, you can move back in time to previous points where there is empty spaces from where you moved the bishop out. So that's another handy tip. All right, so right here, I don't like that this queen is still getting close. I wonder if I can... Can't quite capture it from here, it looks like. All right, so I think what I'm going to do is just try to keep this king... Oh, he's got a knight up here, too. That one might be reaching down soon. So I'm going to try to just keep that king safe for now. And then... Let's try to get this knight in a position where I can attack that queen. And these boards up here, they're kind of more removed, and we have these 2 kings which are just hiding out in that corner. They do still have a queen here that's somewhat guarding them, but we can kind of advance towards them still. That knight is still in the way in a 2-dimensional sense. All right, let's go with that. See what happens. Okay, nothing too crazy. All right, so he's left these kings very exposed up there. They still have that queen though, so we can look at that first. So if I move here, I'm able to capture the queen on the next move. if he doesn't move it somewhere else. That'll probably force him to move the queen, but he can't capture the knight with that queen. It's not going to be able to move in that way. So I'm going to do that up there. And then where's that queen going to go? It can't go very far because it's obstructed in a lot of the dimensions. It can travel this way a bit, so I might be able to. He might be building a battery in that regard. I think it's going to be okay for now. So let's go here. And this board doesn't have a king on it, so you're basically kind of just cleaning up the pieces and making sure they don't get too carried away. Or you can have some of your own pieces move to other timelines, like a king, but that makes another board with 2 kings on it, which can work, but it's, again, easier to capture at that point. So I keep going after queens and bishops if I can. He's got that one. Battery there. Or not battery. My chess terminology is a little rusty. Let's keep moving these knights up. And now this bishop looks like he's getting ready to take one of them here. If their black bishop wasn't there, I could move here and be able to capture the king on this timeline. Actually, no, wait. Oh, this king is a different spot. Never mind. If there was a king here on that board, then an adjacent bishop is able to deliver that attack there. But it's not the case here, so... I don't want to branch unnecessarily, but I can move to an adjacent time. Actually, no, these are in the present. We don't want to do that yet. We'll do that in the near future. In the 5th dimension, game time. I'm just going to castle here again. I think that's okay. All right. Okay, I'm in check now. Okay, yeah, this is... Okay, so this queen is checking current time king as well as one quite a ways back. This is where you gotta be mindful that queens are able to time travel very effectively. Now, I think I can't capture it, can I? Let's see. Doesn't look like it. I can't... Okay, so now I could just move this king here, but then the queen's going to be able to take that one in the past, which you can't move that past king out of the way. So basically, if I can't take this queen in the present, which I'm guessing I can't because he wouldn't have moved there otherwise. Okay, so normally... All right. So normally this would be a checkmate. However, we have one option left that I mentioned previously, which is escaping into the past. So I'm going to take this queen. I'm going to go as far back as I can. Yeah, let's just do that. So now this is the present in the game time. And this king board up here it's just nothing happening yet. It's inactive. I technically can take some more pieces from that time period, we'll say. But I don't think that does me a whole lot of good. I guess I can... Let me just see what happens here. Okay, that creates another branch out in the middle of nowhere. But that means I've branched 2 times again, and so I can't activate another branch to escape if I need to. So I'm just going to stick with this one right now. Actually, I have branched twice, but he has as well. So we're already tied. So this way will give me the most amount of 5-dimensional time to work with as I need, as possible. And look at that, he already branched again. Okay. That's all right. Now, I believe that these spaces in here are considered blocked, and I can't move through them. Like, for example, this queen can't move up there because well, I think it's just too far away. Yeah, it's too far. I guess it would be blocked, too, in that dimension. That's good to know. I don't think I've tried that recently, at least. All right, so... Okay, let me just check here. If I do this... Okay, that's still... So I still have the ability to move the past backward, or the present backwards in time. I don't need to do that yet, though, so I'm not going to. All right, I do have 2 queens on this board, so that's a pretty good recipe here. I can do this. That king is just going to move to another timeline. So we need to be wise with our moves now because we have a limited amount of 5-dimensional turns, or 3-dimensional turns, until we get checkmated in the future. Let's just develop this bishop. And that was it. So he wasn't able to escape. All right. Ah, okay. Simple checkmate, actually. Relatively simple. So this is kind of an annoying thing about queens, but basically the queen is able to check the king at this position here, but it can also move diagonally backwards through time to check the king in the past. Since black isn't able to branch and move the timeline backwards anymore, this is still a valid move, and the queen could still move backwards in time to the past to capture the king there. And I wasn't even looking for that, and it still set it up. So as you can see, a lot of the time you'll get checkmates due to like unexpected moves. Sometimes it costs you a win, sometimes you just surprisingly win somehow, like this. I have had a stalemate before, one time I think, when I had a ton of timelines on the board. But it doesn't happen often, basically, because usually there's a way to go back in time to escape. So yeah, this is a good example of this timeline like time travel escape technique, and then also of preventing the opponent from escaping to additional timelines by just not branching yourself. So basically, just not abusing your power. Basically, yeah, that was a relatively simple game of 5D chess with multiverse time travel. I can try to do one more against the aggressive AI. This one will probably take longer, so feel free to settle in if you want to keep watching. This one should be interesting. I'll probably call it after this one, though, because this is probably going to take a while. All right. Assuming I don't lose instantly, which is certainly a possibility. And it's sort of just basic chess for a while once you at the very beginning of the game. But now at this point, we do have to start considering moves into the past, especially with these knights. They're kind of, they can move backwards at this point. So castle, give myself a way out if I need it, so I can move back. I guess it's only a couple moves at this point. But if I leave the rook there for a while, then it'll kind of build up a retreat option. I've got a pinned knight here. That's less than ideal. Could take his. Don't want to give him the chance to develop a queen. I don't think I can take. I can't take it in the past. So let's just do this. Yeah. Ooh. Okay. Yep. Forgot about that. So bishops can take pieces adjacent or diagonal in the additional dimension. And as you can see now, he is checking directly diagonally across timelines here towards this king that is otherwise adjacent. So it's over 1 square in space and over 1 square in another space. This also is a king in the past, which means I can't capture that bishop. So I already have to use my time travel approach to escape here, which I don't think I can even do much of. So I think this might actually be a fast game because I can't really get out of this one very well. I think this bishop is... Okay, so I have very limited options here to actually win this game before he takes my king. Now, I could try to set it up such that once it comes around to this being the present again, I'm able to have a piece in position to take that bishop. Which I might actually be able to do here. Oh, right. Okay. But I can't progress this timeline because that means that the bishop takes the king. So I have to use this timeline to travel backwards in time, which I do have the rook. It's not been long enough, though. The queen. Can any of these? Okay. Yeah, I think he's got me. Well, actually, no. If I move the queen here, then I think I can. No, it's blocked by the pawn. Okay. I can do. Does this work? Nope, that doesn't work. Doesn't undo the check. Okay, I think he's got me. Let me just see. This is probably the best thing I can do, if anything, though. Yeah, the pawn is going to be in the way of the queen, so I think he's won. Nope. Okay, so now we're back to the present. And the queen isn't able to take it. But I can still move back in time again, so it's basically saying, like, hey, you're not going to win, but you technically have a way out, so you have to take it. Unless there's something I'm just not seeing here, which I don't think there is. Actually, wait, no, this king is in the past, so I can't move that. And I'm pretty sure it's just gonna, yeah, it's not gonna let me advance the timeline, so I have to move backwards again. This is gonna branch a second time, which moves the, I can't branch any further, so yeah. There's that checkmate that we were predicting. So basically, it's trying to run from fate in this case. Yeah, a lot of the time, if you see it coming, the game will basically just say, you're not technically out of moves, even though there's nothing you can really do. Or maybe there is something you can do, and you just don't see it, which is possible that I just didn't see a way out of this one. Yeah, this AI is a lot more difficult than the other. All right, I'll try one more on balance just to see if we can get an actual lengthy game out of this before the end of the night. Okay. Don't want him to do that. Okay, I see what he's trying to do here. He's trying to do a fork. Can't really... Okay, I can't really do that, so I'm just going to... Okay. I can't take the knight, but I'm at least set up where he's not going to be able to fork there. I do have the bishop prepared, or the bishop and queen here, but don't really have enough development yet. Don't think I can do much in time travel yet either, so let's just keep playing. Okay. Starting to open up a little bit. Try to push the knight. Okay, I'm just going to take the knight because one less piece to worry about. And I didn't see that even. Thinking too fast. Not thinking too fast? Something like that. Okay. Don't think it's worth going back in time to save that knight. Actually, I could go back here and put him in. Oh, this might actually... Unless he's gonna... He's just gonna go to another timeline. Or do that. Okay. Well, that was a good try at least. Actually, I can go here and repeat the attack. Then I think a pawn can take... This pawn will be able to take the queen if I do that. Because this one can attack... Actually, no. This one attacks downwards towards me. So I think this is safe. Okay. Yes. Okay. So I branched twice now. And so this branch is not active yet. Once black branches, though, then this time it will become active, and he'll have to deal with that, which he probably won't be able to. So he can't run now. He can't have his king run to another timeline to escape a check. Unfortunately, he is still attacking me here. I could just take that knight. I feel like it could be a trap. Don't see it though. I could nah, he's got it still pretty well defended. All right, let's try it. Yep, okay. Yeah, I did see that, but thought that was in a different spot. Okay. Well, he has escaped that checkmate attempt there. I do still have a queen there at least, but I don't have a queen up here now. This board is also active on mine, but not for him. So I don't think these pieces can actually check at this point. I can move them, but it's not going to do any good. Unless I do this, which will just branch again, and that becomes inactive. And we don't want to make excessive branches if we can help it. So let's just stay focused up here for now. Don't want to make unnecessary branches at this point. So let's try... he can't... Okay, so he can branch again now because he's been freed up down here. He's not in check. So I think we kind of just keep on developing at this stage of the game. Alright, yeah, that knight again. Okay, fortunately it's only a two-dimensional check. I can just take it. As long as that knight doesn't come up again, I think we'll be okay with that. Now this bishop, bishops are always confusing and difficult. So if I move here, for example, he can take this bishop using that bishop because it moves across diagonally. So that spot is still protected. If I move here, though, technically I need to move here. I could take the bishop across the timeline, but I can't do that because then that knight will be in check. So I don't want that knight to exist. Let's try to avoid that. I also have this bishop pinned here. Let's do this. We can bring it out the other way. Okay, so he's branched, which means that the pass has moved back to this timeline here, because now he's branched once, I've branched twice, so it's on me now. So this one is... This would have been a great setup if I had actually thought through that pawn attack a little more. Now, because this is the present, I can technically check a king in the past here. That's really difficult, though. So, like, if I were to do... No, I can't do it from here. If I have to be over here to do it. But then, like, I can check over to this king, but he can just take it right now, so that's not going to work. Let's see. This queen, he's still really well defended here. I can take this knight again, but that branches, which honestly at this point is okay. He's going to be able to branch again though, right? 1, 2, 1. Yeah. Yeah, we don't want to... we're already down one queen anyways. Let's try to avoid... Man, these knights are really annoying. Let's just set it up to get... that blocks the queen. Let's set it up to get rid of that knight. Now, if he does try to move back in time with this knight, he's able to capture the queen back here. Or this one, I think. Yeah. Which will branch to a timeline where I don't have that queen. And I think he'll actually be close to a check there. But I have the bishop in place still, so he should be okay. Oh, okay. You're going to branch like that. Okay, so he's moved forward in time, but not to the present, and which creates another branch in the future. So we're still in this timeline, and that knight is gone, so that's nice. Now I might be able to do something with this knight here. I really want to try to check a king in the past. But still not really in a good position to do that. So I think, and he's got all his pawns there for a lot of ways in the past, so I can't use the queen to go around them, basically. And this barricade here is still pretty good, too. I could, okay, if I could set up the knight in this position. No, it doesn't work either. Okay. So I'm trying to, maybe I could check back in time, but the knight still has the L shape that I need to worry about, so. think we just need to start attacking the pawn barricade here, which is going to advance us forward. Again, we'll have to deal with these chessboards, but oh well. Okay, so now we've got 3 boards to play. Okay. Let's see. He's still very well defended up here. I do have the ability to take this bishop or just move it out of the way to a different timeline. I could block it. I'll just do that for now. Don't like having these knights here, but I can take one of them and with this pawn if I go up into the past. That branches, but at least gets a timeline without one of those knights. And I can actually move the bishop out in that case. Don't want to branch too much, but this king is starting to look like he's in some trouble. So, do have down here as well. I can move a queen up to this board. Doing all right down here. I could do this if necessary. Okay, another point, just a point of instruction here. If you do move a piece from one timeline to another that hasn't made a move yet, that still just advances that timeline. It doesn't make another branch if you're traveling to another board in place of making a move on that timeline. So I can do this without creating another branch, and I have a queen to help fight these 2 knights, which honestly seems like a pretty decent defensive move at this stage of the game. I then have to worry about this board without having a queen, but his queen is still his queen is still locked up, so we don't need to worry about that. I think I'm going to... He already has 2 bishops up here. That's rough. Let's just block that one like we did earlier. Okay. I can technically move this board again as well if I want to. Let's wait until these timelines come up so this queen can possibly advance further around here. Okay. Let's see. Might be trying to develop a rook there. All right, this one is getting pretty open now. I might be able to start an attack on the king here. He can't branch at this point, I don't think. Actually, no, we're gonna want we're gonna want the queen to come up there for that. So I could try to move the bishop over. Or can I move the queen over now? I could attack from the opposite timeline downwards, but that's getting really convoluted, and it makes my brain hurt. Technically, I could go back here. Oops. Yeah. It doesn't really benefit much. Let's avoid doing that. I think here I can... If I move the queen here, I can go diagonally to that pawn with a knight to back it up across... No, we don't have a knight to back it up across the timeline. Okay, let's see. This is what I want to do eventually. I just need to put a piece there to protect that bishop. If I do this, then I'm able to... That's not quite it. No. See what I mean? It gets complicated. You're playing multiple boards simultaneously. And technically, okay, so that's not going to work either. All right, let's not do that here. Let's just move this knight up. Man, we don't really have a whole lot of offensive moves we can make at this point. This one is okay. I don't like those 2 knights there. That's gonna get interesting. This pawn... Wait, hold on. Can this pawn take one of them? No. Oh, I can take it in the past, but not in the present. This one, no. Actually, I can move and then attack that knight, but then we're leaving the king open pretty well here. It frees up the bishop too, which is going to take my bishop, so we don't want to do that. Also, if you haven't noticed too, playing this without a timer is probably the better approach. If you're playing this game with a timer, you're doing quite a lot more advanced stuff than me. All right. Don't really have any obvious way to advance the attack at this point, I don't think. I think this is probably... This king is the most vulnerable right now, so we can start moving pieces toward it. And then try to protect this king up here, because this is our most vulnerable right now. Want to leave that queen there if I can. Okay, the 5 boards. So try to avoid branching. I think this is pretty decent. Okay, that's his last branch, so he can't... He's really committed to this king here now. Technically, I can... I don't think many of my pieces can reach him from there. He's got... he's still got the 2 knights up here. Yeah, what happened to the other one? Oh, right, he just created another timeline. Now, this timeline doesn't have any knights, and this one is in another timeline with 2 knights as well. That's getting kind of scary. I want to try to... I could bait him to go over there and then castle. Cost a bishop, though. Actually, I could do it with a knight as well. Then I can take the knight in return. Let's go with that. Now he's got to move all his 5 boards. Okay. Yep. We were hoping not. Okay, so he's checking me back in time. That's unfortunate. I think I can still take him, though, with this bishop, so that's good. Or I can take him with... I mean, this king, technically, but I don't want to do that. So, this... No, wait. Can any of these bishops take? All right. A valiant effort, but you're not going to be able to checkmate me with that king, with that knight. So, forces me to do this, which I think he's going to try to keep moving back in time. Or moving knights to keep checking me back in time, which is unfortunate, but I can deal with that for now. This knight, oh, he escaped with that one too. Knew I was going to take it. I can set this one up to possibly capture one of his knights across the timeline in the future. If he doesn't move that one, she probably will, but this one's getting scary though. Okay, let's try to fortify that board a little bit from this timeline. Yeah, this bishop can now take... No, it can't. Right? It can... this bishop can take... this one. Yeah, okay, that's not very helpful, but if he at least moves another knight up, it won't do as much. All right, how about down here? He's got a queen that's about to come out, which we don't want to have that happen. So, can try to... Man, it's going to be tough to avoid that queen, though. Can start advancing here. This queen... As long as his pawn doesn't take another one, that would be embarrassing. Or I can castle. Let's do that. Actually get the rook and the queen lined up there. Here, actually I can take quite a few pawns. This pawn is being attacked by this bishop as well. Or I could move all the way up here. Now we're getting one bishop out there anyways. Let's try... I could just force him out, but he's got too many pieces there. I don't want to branch. He's at his limit for branching, so we can avoid introducing that. Let's try doing this. Put him in check there. We get an extra bishop on that board. We haven't developed that one yet, but... Okay, so he's going to be in check there. He can't move there. This spot, he's going to have to move there. I think he could... I'm not sure if he can take me with that pawn or not. It's confusing. These ones I think were okay for now. That king should be well protected well enough at this point. Can still escape with him if necessary, maybe. We'll see. All right. Haven't been looking at the past very much recently, so... Yeah, there he goes. Okay, so the king is running, but now he's got me in check in 2 places. That's an easy one, simple one. That's rough, and then there and there. Okay, so that knight is basically just ruining everybody's day, as well as that bishop, so I need to capture both of those. So here, gosh, that's a lot of knights. Okay, I can take care of that knight. That's good. Can I do it with this bishop? I can. Give it another bishop on that board, because he's going to just keep throwing knights at that spot, I think. He's just going to keep trying to check me back in time. Okay. This one is just that bishop, so I can avoid that. I think it's worth sacrificing a knight to take out that bishop. We still need these. This board we're doing pretty well on. Can I take it with... I can do this. Develop another bishop, get another bishop on that board. Actually, that's pretty good, because this one we're doing pretty strong on. He still hasn't moved his queen up, but we at least have 3 bishops to work with there. Now here, that knight is still looking like it's going for a fork somehow, so I'm going to try to preempt that. I can maybe do a queenside castle in that case, too. Okay. Oh, we got more. This board, okay, this board is his last branch, and he doesn't have to play this one yet, but I could set it up so that when he does, he is in check. Or I could move this queen somewhere where it would be more useful. Like I could move it onto this board where I don't have a queen now. Which would be kind of handy for getting rid of some of these knights, as long as they don't take the queen. Which don't think they can right now. It's basically a free queen at this point. Let's do that. Okay. Yeah. All right. I think we're good. Let's do it. We're playing 6 games of chess at this point. Ooh. Okay, so he's got me in check with the queen, which is going across timelines. He's attacking the past, so I can't just move out of the way or block the queen, basically. In the present, I have to stop it from attacking the past, which means I basically have to capture it. Which, oh, and down here, we've got a bishop doing the same thing. All right, I think this bishop can... Dang it, not quite. Okay, that's unfortunate, because I think that's the only piece I have that's really able to go that far up and block, capture that queen. So we might have to run back to the past at this point. Oh boy. So I can't capture that queen. So that is our checkmate to be, basically. Yeah, okay. All right. So this one is only checking back to the past. I can't progress that timeline either unless I capture that bishop, which I think I can maybe do. Dang, not quite. Okay. All right. Can't advance that timeline. Can't use that queen now. Can move this bishop here. Okay. At this point, it's just looking how far back can we go with the branching. Because the further back, the more time we have. So this queen can go quite ways back. It's going to be right in the line of fire, though. But that would give us more time if we did that. So we might be able to buy time at the price of a queen. Alternatively, did I castle with any of these? No. Okay. Man, this sucks. Yeah. Setting up everything just nicely, and then you have to retreat. I want to try to set up a timeline so that I can capture this queen once it comes back around to that comes back around to the present. So I could try to put a queen nearby that, such that I can capture forward into the future to capture it before the queen becomes active again. That's gonna take some that's gonna be some difficulty because it's all the way up here, so I have to move a long ways to get to it. But I might be able to do that with the queen down here. So let's try moving this queen back. Let's try this, see what this looks like. That's not a whole lot of time. But then I can move up here and then move it into position to capture that queen when it comes back around. That won't solve this bishop problem, though, so we need to set this one up as well. Which is going to be tricky. I can maybe do a knight or a bishop. Okay. If we have to use a bishop here, this is going to be complicated. So basically, I need to get a bishop in this same square, but... Or no, not that square. Down here, where the queen is. So, right on top of that queen is where the bishop needs to go. Can't move him there yet. Okay. I mean, I can move other places too, but that's just the one I see right now. Take this. I can't do that. Can't progress that timeline unless it's capturing that bishop. So basically we want to... I think we can do this. Oh, okay. There's another bishop there. That's going to cause trouble. Right, because that was a check at that point in time. So we don't want to move back. We can move back to that time point at that board, or that point in history. Unless I move back there with a bishop and capture that bishop, in which case this is no longer a check. And now I have a bishop here. He's not going to be able to capture that one that's checking me in the past, though. So that doesn't really help much, other than giving another branch, which we don't really want to do if we can help it. Actually, that's fair. We don't want to branch unnecessarily. So basically, it's just, can I set up a bishop here? No, it has to be set up from the past, though, so that's not going to work. That one's already progressed since the queen's moved back in time. Up here, I mean, unless this queen can do something... Wait. Is this the checking queen? Yeah, it is. This is the queen that's checking, so I can't... Can I move this one? No, I can't. Okay. Can't move this board without... Unless we're going to capture that queen. This one is already advanced, so we can't use that. These ones here don't really have a whole lot of stuff going for them. I could try to do... Actually, I can set up this bishop so that it could take... Or one of these bishops. So that it could capture the queen once it becomes black's turn, which is this one. Nah, it's too far. It's too far in the future. I can move it back in time, but then it's going to just branch, so... And the bishop's too far away at that point. Okay, I think we're going to have to try to get this queen in position to capture that one. Which is going to involve moving up to this board, I think. So I think we can do that on the next turn. Let's just do this now. We still have these tons in the future if we need them. Okay, so now we're here. I think I can move... there's a pawn in the way, isn't there? It's too far. Okay, wait, why can't he move straight? Okay, there's a pawn in the way. Okay, but if I move him here, then I can move it across the next turn. No, there's a bishop in the way there. And there's a bunch of pieces in the way. Basically, I need to get it along this column. And in that case, I want to move it, the final position, to be here or here. So I want it to get to this square. But I need 2 moves to do that. So I move there. It's going to end up the same square, but in this timeline. Actually, I could set it... Oh, I need to worry about that bishop still, though. That's right. Uh, okay. If we have to branch again, we could escape the bishop another time, which is going to be pretty unnecessarily complicated, but it's possible. We do have 2 queens to work with down here, so I can't move them both. But maybe this queen can move a little more. Not really, no. Could try to branch here. Could just go back there. Let's not do that, though. How about a bishop? It's too far away. Okay. How about this? Is that going to be clear? Yes. Okay, that will be enough clearance to get the queen into this spot in the next turn, and then I'll be able to capture that queen once it comes back around to that point. We still need to deal with this bishop, which I don't think we're going to be able to capture it and that queen at the same time. Which means that we're going to have to run back in time again and set up another piece to capture that bishop. I think, unless there's a knight or something here that can... This bishop might be able to... Nah, well... Maybe. I don't think that's going to work. Possibly. Okay. Well, I think we can leave that one for the future to deal with. All right, let's just try this. Okay, so he moved his rook here. That's annoying, but not a problem. If we move to here, now we should be in a position to capture that queen once that becomes the present again. Unfortunately, this bishop is still going to be a problem, so we're going to have to deal with that. But I think this at least gives us clearance here. Now that we're back around to this timeline, I could possibly see if any of these pieces could be useful to move. Except that... Okay, no, that's not going to work. I can't progress that timeline yet. I need to keep this one in the past. So I could branch again, but it moves the past back, which technically is okay, because we should be safe up here in the future. This one, though, we don't have a queen, and we still need to set up for that bishop, which is now further away. Which we might be able to do with one of these bishops, but it's going to be increasingly difficult. Getting too uncertain here. I think at this point, we have the ability to move back in time with this queen, technically. No, not really, no, because this queen has to capture that one. That's the move there, so that board is going to be... both of these boards are going to be taken up by the next turn. So that means this bishop... Okay. I can't... Okay, this one is done for or it's done at this point. We can't move it any further. Basically, if we're going to move back in time to set something up, we got to do it now. So if I go all the way back with this bishop, that's going to lose the bishop, but at least gives us more time to set up this one to capture another bishop there. This isn't really helping us advance toward the enemy king, but it's at least keeping us in the game, which is... at least up here, we'll have 2 queens on this board and be able to go after these really 3 kings in this area are somewhat vulnerable. So we can return to that in the future. Let's try to set up for this bishop down here first. He's going to take that. He didn't take that. Interesting. He just took the pawn. So not going to get greedy here. We have a mission in the past. So we need to set up a bishop or something, probably a bishop, in such a way that it can take that. Unless I can, could I get a rook here? No. No, okay, this timeline has to advance too. Which he will have to do eventually, so that's not a problem. But then I'll have that queen back again. That's not going to help me, though. So basically, we want to put this bishop in somewhere that it's going to be able to capture that one. So here, 1, 2, 3. So it's going to go 1, 2. That's not right. So we need it to be this bishop. Or not necessarily that one, but maybe this bishop then. 1, 2. Okay. As long as we keep this bishop here, we should be able to capture that one. Okay. I guess, yeah, that logical next move. He knows that can capture me. So I basically want to... Can't check the king yet. I have a... Okay, these ones are technically... Oh, that one's not. These ones are still active. I think I can move. And if I move these, they're going to branch, so that's not going to do any good. But I can still escape with that, technically, so that's nice. If he takes that bishop... Actually, I can do this. Now, he takes the bishop, and then it activates this timeline. That doesn't give me time to take it, but it would happen in the future if I had room to take it, or if I was enabled to do so, but I don't think we will. So basically, I think we're stuck again. Unless I can take that bishop with another bishop that he can't take. Oh man, this is going to be really complex. I don't think that's going to work. Be a knight. We're out of time, though. Okay. Let's set up another bishop here. And then we can maybe even set the rook up. That's not going to do enough, though. Okay, assuming this doesn't checkmate at this point right now, we're going to have to run back in time from up here. This one should be safe to capture that queen. And in the future, when we get back to this point, we should be able to use one of these bishops to capture that one. We might be able to capture that bishop with one of these queens up here, too. Let's see. Here we go. How many boards is this? 3, 4. Oh, here we go. He's branching. Okay, so he knows that queen is vulnerable now. So he wants to try to prevent that. Now I could do this to force his king out into the open. Because I don't think he can run at this point. Yeah. So that king is basically stuck there. That'll get it out in the open. Actually, this knight is almost in position to check that. Or this bishop too. Not really. Okay. Let's not get too carried away. I could try... This is the only present we have to deal with right now. I can't advance that timeline though. I think these ones are too far away to help. Yeah. Okay. We can do this because this queen is already pretty close here, and we still have another bishop to work with. Don't like sacrificing a bishop this late in the game, but is there anything better we can do with it? I mean, not really. Let's do it. This is going to be, because we're going to have to recover from 2 multiple timeline checks in one turn, basically. So this is going to be a very convoluted escape if we actually manage this. Okay. So yeah, that queen is active again, but we are able to take it. Haha! Oh man, that is... Okay, and now this bishop is... Oh great, is this bishop doing it? Yeah, he's got 2 bishops set up to check. Dang it. Okay, well, the fact that we got out of this check up here is still quite a relief, because that took a lot of setup to actually get out of. And now, if we get back to this time and we survive, we have 2 queens to go after these kings with. And up there, too. Actually, can I move the... No. The trouble with rooks is you can't really move them across timelines unless you castle, really. I could try to... Okay, no. We want to branch to a point where we can set up to capture both of these bishops. Actually, I can just do this here, so that's fine. This one, we still need to go to the past to escape. Wait, hold on. This bishop was supposed to capture that bishop. We can't do that now. So, all right. This knight can't do anything to help. This bishop can't. I think these ones are too far away as well. Okay, we're looking good up there. We just got to work ourselves out of this pickle here. I think if I take this knight here, yeah, actually, it's in the future though. I can't do that. I have to move it into the past, but then he's not set up to help. This, oh wait, we got a queen here still. That might be helpful. I have to just use that to escape though. So, all right, let's take this bishop. That gives us one less thing to worry about. And now I think, how many branches? Where are we at with branching? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I have one free branch left. And I have to use it because I can't capture that bishop at this point. From up here. Oh, this knight almost can though. If it was only back in time. Or if I had a knight up here, that would also work. Can't. Okay, so we could try to get a knight up here. Nah, that's not going to work because this timeline is already set. It would have to be up in this spot already. So we basically need to get, if we can get this queen somewhere down here, it has to get to this spot down here, and then I could take that bishop. It's going to cost the queen, but it's going to save the king. So, this is probably the safest one to branch to. Okay. Okay. I think that should get us close. Yeah, we should have enough time to get the queen in position. We're going to have to free up some pawns, though. Otherwise, they're just going to capture the queen. So. Okay. So now the queen has to be in this square. No, this one. Yeah. So that it can travel across dimensions to get there. It could go diagonally, but we have a knight here in the way. So probably just going to want to go straight across. That means it has to end up here. We need to take care of that pawn first, and probably that bishop, unless we capture the pawn. If I do that, I can capture on the next turn. Move the queen. Ah, the queen takes 2 moves to get there, though. Can I set the queen? Oh, he's just going to capture the queen. All right, what if I go here? Oh, that's a really complicated arrangement. Okay, boy. This one, if I attack from the side, it's going to have to be next to the rook. I guess I can use the king here, but that's not going to matter. I could check the king. Actually, I mean, I could just try to win at this point because the king is pretty secluded here. Might not be a totally impossible strategy. If we go here, I have the option to move the queen there, which I think is a win. But we need to set it up first with a bishop. Don't think we have time to do that. Man, this is really close, though. Okay, we could block the rook. Yeah, it's not going to matter. That's not going to work. We only have a limited number of turns here is the problem. Because otherwise, this is fairly number of options here. I think... Oh, man. Technically, I can move the queen into position, but it's going to get captured if I do so. And in order to... Okay, what about up here? Is there anyone up here that can help? These guys are too far away. These ones, these rooks are not able to do anything. I got some bishops here. I don't think they can... Nah, they're too far away. I don't want to branch again. So wait, hold on. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, yeah. Can't branch any further. I mean, I can, but it's not going to activate, I don't think. Let's check. Yeah, I don't think that helps us. Okay. What if we develop... Okay, so we need 2 turns to get the queen into that position. It needs to be here. There is 1, 2 moves left. Okay. At this point, I wonder if it's just smarter to go for the king in this timeline. Or a different timeline. If I were to attack one of these kings over here, they can't move, and thus that might give us a cross-dimensional checkmate. Trick is going to be doing so in a way that doesn't require another branch. Which I don't think I can do. Well, I could set this up. Yeah, I don't think that's going to work. This queen and bishop is really annoying here. If I only had some other developed piece, I could set this up, but don't think I can. Do you have these? No, these don't count. But up here, this is... No, that's the... All right, that's the board we need to avoid. Can't branch. I mean, I can. It'll give us another queen down here once it gets... Okay, if we do this, this gives us another timeline at the present where we could then try get another queen, but that avoids the ability to branch further if we need it to get out of another pickle. We probably will need to. It's not looking too good, folks. I mean, no, it's not. Okay. The other thing would be if it gets to the point where this king gets checkmated by the time the president advances that far, I don't think we have a way to do that. Yeah, no. Man, that timeline is all, those timelines are all set up really nicely in that part of the board. Okay. We still have the ability to move a piece from here, not this one, from here back in time. Oh, actually, can I just move a king? No. Because he's gonna just... Wait, if I do this... he's checking way back there, so that's... Can't just move the king out of the way. Would have been nice. This knight is so close to being able to check it, or to capture that. It's too far away now. Yeah, it's going to have to be a bishop or a queen, I think. We're running out of those. Okay. Let's try... Man, I just want to make a move here, but... I feel like once I do, he's just going to move a pawn or something and capture the queen, and then that's going to be it. I only have 2 moves to do it. Okay, oops. Oh, great. What happened? Sorry, guys. Hold on. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Thank you for letting me know, man. Unknown 989. Appreciate okay. Thank you for letting me know. That was unfortunate. Sorry, this my audio setup here is a bit of a mess at sometimes. So um I think I've got it looks like it's working on my end now. If anything happens, I'll keep an eye on the chat. Sorry about that. Um okay. All right. Basically, I was saying we have the queen in position now, but the pawns are still going to pose a problem because I can't just move it directly in place and have it capture. Or it's going to get captured if I move it into place by the pawns. So I still have the ability to branch one more time, I think. Because if I move the queen back, it will move the present backwards. So I do still have that option to escape again if necessary. Which I really don't want to have to do, but might need to do so. We still have some bishops. This bishop. We still have some bishops that can move us back in time. Yeah, okay, so this bishop can actually get us way back. That would actually be pretty nice. Don't have a queen up there. We do have one here, though. Oh, man. Okay, hold on. Let's try this. Okay, wow, that gives us a lot more time. And an extra queen. Well, not extra, but an extra bishop anyways. Okay, we are branching again, though. This removes our ability to branch further. And this king is still very well defended. So it means it's going to be difficult to win from here. Actually, no. This king is actually... He can try to escape from the timeline, but... That's going to bring him up on top again. And we'll have a queen right in position then. So this... Okay, this might actually work here. It's kind of fast and loose, but let's try it. Okay. Of course. I didn't see that. Wow. Okay, well, I can take that knight, but we're getting close to this timeline again. So, yeah, I didn't see that. It was going too fast. Okay. It would be nice to just get rid of this knight because he's going to be close to where we need the queen to be on this timeline. And we don't want that knight messing up any attempts to get the queens in position here. Actually, we might be able to use this queen to capture the pawn that captures that queen to get us in position to capture that bishop. So that might still work out. We're just going to have to get a bishop. Or we could use a bishop to capture the pawn. No, we can't. We could use a bishop to capture that pawn. But then that will move the present forward and the bishop will be active again. So we've got some time here. We could do this. He's probably just going to move a pawn to get the knights, to save the knight. Or he can use a knight. Oh, this knight actually would be able to capture a queen that'll branch, so we don't care about that as much. This is the obvious move here. The most obvious approach. Oh, man. I think we have enough time to work out. Okay, we basically have 2 moves to get this one back in position, which I think is enough time to develop this queen to such a place that it can capture that. Not quite, because the bishop is in the way. So really what we need to do is get this bishop out of the way so that this queen can capture that spot. Actually, the queen here can capture that spot. I can move to that spot. Pawn takes, queen can then take bishop. Okay. That's all nice in theory, but as long as that knight doesn't... might check the king there, which will throw it all out of whack. So to avoid that, we would have to take the knight. Doing so makes us take an extra move to set up the queens and bishops. Actually, if we could clear up this board, the queen could still move down here to set up for that, capturing that other bishop there. So we might actually be able to sort of... Bishop is the way to go. We do have 3 bishops here. I don't think the king is too fortified, though. I mean, I guess I could move the king. Don't like doing that, though. But okay, if we branch again, that's just going to get us into more complicated territory. We can't branch to escape anymore either, I don't think. Not that we have any opportunities to do so, except maybe from here. Yeah, we do still have a bishop here. Just check to make sure we can't get any further back. I can go back to before this bishop was here, though, so that does give us a slight chance to progress a little bit more, but not very much. So okay. This knight's gonna fork the... Not fork, just check the king if they don't capture it. So we kind of have to do that. Don't want to move anything else. I guess we can technically move from this board. No, it doesn't look like it. Yeah, okay, we're too far back. All right, let's take this knight. We kind of have to. Let's just see what happens here. Oh, okay, he's branching now. Very interesting. That is... Okay. Now we're back up on this timeline here, where the king is exposed again. But we still have to deal with down here, because this is still setting up our recovery. He knows once he progresses the present to this point again, he'll win. Or we have to flee again, which we really don't want to do at this point. So, let's see if we can't get a queen to position to capture the... it's obstructed so much, though. Okay, I guess we could potentially do a diagonal attack. Is it that bishop we want to capture? Yeah. So here... It's too far. We have to go diagonally. But it's in position to capture diagonally now. So actually, this is good. If this remains unobstructed, it doesn't. There's a knight there. But if it were to remain unobstructed, which it can't, that knight is in the way. Okay. How about... It has to be a linear, like, rook-like movement. Okay. What about from the top? That's... I mean, we're already active up here again, so... Oh, technically that could work. If we get the queen here on this board, it's the same problem we just had, though. We get the queen up here, that will still work as well, but that's a really well-defended spot up here. You technically could do it with a rook, too, but... Bishop. No, it's too well-defended. Okay. Okay. How about... Oh, I can move on to this board as well. Man, I don't even know if that's going to be sufficient to actually free up that. It's not going to... So, yeah. Basically... Yeah, I didn't even think about that. This bishop is also going to capture that queen if we move it there, too. So we need to have... takes 3 captures here. Unlikely. All right, how about just a fast win? Can we just... How about that? Can we just capture a king somewhere in the past? Actually, wait, hold on. We do still have one more time travel left to use, escape attempt. So we can go back a little bit. That's probably not enough time, though. Okay. Man. All right, so the other option would be if we can capture the king back here. If we abandon our plan, though, but that becomes inactive. But it puts the queen... It does put the queen in position. It's just gonna get captured. So now if we move this queen... That's not gonna work, though. So that's... Okay, this is the ultimate final state we needed in, because then it can capture that bishop there. Problem is, that pawn is just going to take it down. So if we could capture that pawn from here and prevent it from taking the queen somehow. I have to capture that pawn specifically, though. It's too far away from all of these pieces. Okay. I kind of feel like we have to just go on the offense here. Been playing defensive for so long. I just don't know if there's actually a way to do anything offensively at this point. Unless we can win quickly up here somehow. Like, that's not a win, though. We could set it up as a win. And then the bishop could then check... I don't know, wait. If we could check backwards in time, like with this queen, for example. This doesn't even prevent. Okay. That at least frees up the queen, so we could potentially get the queen up there and check backwards in time and hopefully get a checkmate that way. Or fork, but that's not going to do us any good. So we can try set that up. I don't think it's going to work out, though. We still have to deal with this mess down here. We can do this here and then move the queen up. Man, he's really well defended. Can I branch backwards? Okay, I can still move the pass back. It's not going to do us any good, though, at this point. We need to capture the bishop from here. But in order to do that, we have to prevent this pawn from capturing the queen, and then to prevent that bishop from doing it as well. So, can we set us up back in time where we can capture that bishop? Not like that, no. Or capture that pawn. Oh, man. I don't think so. There. Nope. 2, 3. Okay. keep forgetting you can right click to deselect a piece. So that's why I'm still clicking on the top bar every time. I hope you guys don't mind too if I'm just silently thinking for a little bit at a time here too. Trying to explain what I'm doing as much as I can. That's probably not going to help anything. Okay. This bishop can move behind that one in time. That's way too far away. We have to get none of these timelines. This one, okay, this timeline is still close enough. If we were to get a queen there, that's the only option, or a rook, but don't have enough time for a rook to get there. Maybe try to get another queen out if we have time. That's going to cost us our escape route. Can we even use an escape route at this point, though? Like, if we did, I guess technically we have these ones to work with. But I don't think they can. The queens can reach that far back from here. Yeah. Maybe diagonally. Once that opens up. Possibly. Okay, that queen might still be able to get us out of trouble if we can't figure anything else out. What if we do this? Use a pawn to capture it. That might work. That's going to be risky, but if the pawn takes, the queen can take, the bishop will take, unless... Do we check the king then, or use this queen? I mean, we could check with this queen if that pawn's gone. Oh, wait, we could check with the queen, bishop moves up, this queen moves up, that bishop is pinned, so then this queen is in position to take that bishop. Okay. That might work. Unless I'm missing something, which I could be. Okay, so if he doesn't take the pawn, this pawn takes that pawn, and then the queen can move up. Okay, and then we're good. Then we're good. So I think either way, we should be able to get our way out of this. Assuming he doesn't just run away with the king here for some random thing. But I think we're good. Okay. Okay, he took the pawn. So that means this queen can move here. No, wait, that wasn't what we were... Oh, it's not what we were doing. We were going to do... Okay. This queen there. Now the bishop is in the way. Is going to take here. Oh, no, that's right. We got to pin. Ah, no, we can't. We can pin with this queen, but now we can't. We'll have to branch there, and then that pawn is in the way on this timeline of actually capturing the bishop. So that pawn is in the way. We can still pin the bishop, though, but it's too late. Yeah, man. Miscalculated there. Okay, well... If we do this, pawn is present. I guess, can I, like, bait him out with a queen? I have, like, one turn to make this work, too, so... This will still technically have us in position, except the bishop can capture us. Ah, man. Okay. Don't want to go back in time if I can help it, but might have miscalculated there. I can move this queen up out of the, we get this queen in position. But that doesn't work because then we don't have enough time. The queen will take that pawn, but it's too late. Yeah. Okay. I think we're close, or we're closer anyways. Something. We're running out of time again, though. The other thing could be if we could get this, if we could branch here. Branch here. No, that's not a branch. Let's see. That knight is just in the way. Can we get it diagonally using this one? That's a really rough calculator angle to shoot for. Basically, I need to move it up one square. But there's a knight there, but I don't think that will block it. Which is, okay, same thing. Yeah, it's what we were thinking before. Could I attack from the past further forward? That might be a way. If we can move this queen into position where it can attack from the past into the future and capture the bishop. But it's not... Okay, it needs to go further back, though. Which it can... Oh, we can go up here at that. That is not helpful, though. Unless we go all the way. No, it's not. Okay, we can go back here. The knight's just going to take it, though. It does give us another opportunity to set up again. Is that really beneficial, though? We're stuck around here with the bishop. That knight's just gonna... Okay. Basically have to set up way to capture that pawn. No. That's right, we can use one, we can generate another branch from up here too, if that would be beneficial. Which I don't think it will. This queen is in position to move there. Okay, so that's as much time as we have, right? Yeah. So on the next, so once the bishop, or once the queen gets to this point in time, it has to be ready to capture the bishop. So we only have one move here. We have to go further back. Okay, can we generate another branch from up here? Well, first of all, is this a checkmate? That would be really cool if it was. The king can move there. Then the queen can still take him. You can also move back in time and branch, which would be really stupid at this point, but... Okay, that's a possibility. We might be able to just win like that. Can't really do much. Okay, the thing is we can branch here to create another branch down here. If that's going to help us out down here, it might be worth it, but it's just getting convoluted down there. If we try to capture the king up here, it's not in the present yet, but once it moves forward to the present, can this king escape? You can't take that queen. You can move to the you can't move there because the knight will be there. Can't move to that spot because if he does, the queen will still be in position. Well, it'll move back in time. In which case, I guess we can chase after him again. Probably that. Yeah, I think we can probably chase after him. He can't take that bishop because the queen will get him. He can't move there because the queen will get him. Okay. That's going to cost us a branch up here, but it looks like it might be a checkmate. Unless I'm missing... Can he take with this king? No, he can't, because then he'll be in check from the knight. He can take with this bishop. He can! Dang it! That bishop could take the queen. Man, that'd be so close. So that bishop takes the queen. It's too late then. The president's moved. We're so close. Man, that would have been a great way to end it there. Oh, not like that. Well, no, it doesn't work. If it weren't for this bishop... Which we can move here, technically. Can't use that bishop as a pin. Doesn't help. Okay. Let's go back down here. If we do this, we get another queen to work with in this whole additional mess. And that queen has to get... this pawn's gonna block it now. But this king now becomes present down here, where we don't have that bishop to worry about as much. And we could maybe move this queen to this timeline in such a way... Well, okay, this isn't gonna work. Let me just check here. Like, if we can converge on this timeline here, the king is mostly exposed. He doesn't really have a place to run. Although if he does, it's going to go all the way up top again, but we're pretty good there. No, we're not. We move the queen. Okay. Man, that was so close up there. I kind of just want to do it, see if I'm wrong. In any case, it's not the present yet, though, so... Because there's another king here, actually. But if that one gets in check, can't get out. Well, that one's easier to escape, though. Because they're both in check from this queen position, this position. It's just that bishop is blocking it, though. I don't think this one's going to work up here. It's just, if we want a branch to help with the bottom half right now, we kind of have to go to that one. It's probably best to use the queen, but not necessarily. It's going to develop another enemy queen, which is not good because that'll get us in check and probably lose the game. So let's not do that. Okay. If we do this, it gets a knight up here. That's nice. Kinda. Doesn't help too much. Can get us two. Can get a knight here, which still too far away from the bishop. Okay, let's try the one more. Okay, from here, the knight can move here. Oh, no, here. And this one. That's right, we need to take that pawn. But no, this one's taken now, so we need to take this pawn, but that bishop is there now. So we would have to create a branch with that bishop and that pawn out of the way. I don't think we can do that. Do we still have a time travel escape? Oh yeah, we do, technically, if we don't branch. In the interest of not branching, I mean, I don't think it's going to work, but I kind of just want to see if that happens. I don't think it will, but it would be awesome if it did. At least take that. Okay. That might work if we survive that long. I don't think it will, but... Actually, yeah. If that bishop is out of the way, take that queen, then we're checking back in time to that king. No, wait. To that king. Maybe. I don't think. Or one of these kings, perhaps. I don't think we're going to last that long, though, so... Now this pawn is in the way here. Very unfortunate. Can check his king here. It's just gonna run though. Do this. Hold on. If we do this, his king can't move there. Can't move there. Can't move there because the queen will still get him. Wait, no. Yeah. Yeah, that can still work. Yeah. Okay, so the king would have to branch. We branch into a losing position then. Fortunately, it's on the same timeline as that, same turn as that bishop. Or no, it's one before? Is it? No, it'd be the same. No, he can block with this bishop too. Or the queen. Yeah, okay, okay. Man, it's looking increasingly like we don't have a way to actually capture that bishop and prevent the game from ending. If we do, it's pretty buried right now. Because we're still at only one turn away from that bishop ending the game. It's not going to do any good. This at least puts a king in check, so that's some advancement there. It's just going to move like the queen in position or something, though. Again, we don't have enough time. We'll have to go back in time. Hold on a second. There we go. I don't know why it keeps doing that. Thanks for letting me know again. I don't think that queen is going to be able to check any other kings, it looks like. That would be handy. Let's just stick with that up there then. And then this bishop here, like we were talking. Or... oh, we can do that. That's not going to help, though. All right, we'll set that up again. Just let that be. Yeah, see, this would be the point where if we were able to go forward in time, it would have been good to do from back here. Like check this way, or capture this way, but we weren't able to do so. Kind of a missed opportunity, I guess. So it's way back there too. Basically, don't have any way of getting before that time, but even if we did, it wouldn't matter. We'll check. Okay, we do have queens up here, actually. Can we get this queen in position to attack there? Oh, that might work. It's going to take 2 moves to do that, though, and the other bishop is in the way. Yeah. Oh, hold on. If we were to do that, though, it's the same thing. It's like it needs to go there, and it's open, except there's all these pawns in the way. Actually, the knight is in the way here, so we can't. Well, it can't even move to the right spot as it is. This one is just too well defended with the bishops. Technically, okay, I think we're going to need to save the time travel to get us out of trouble here. So I'm going to set this up, even though we're not going to get to play it. I am just going to go an offensive down here somehow, because I don't think we're able to actually get out of the current predicament from up there. Yeah, this is the branching though, so I don't think I can actually do a whole lot. Man, this is really well defended. That's not enough time. I think we might be sunk here if we can't use it. If we can't escape to the past, which we might be able to do with this. Okay, that's a good point. We can get the queens in position to possibly escape to the past. I'm not seeing a good way to set that up though. So I guess just you know what? Let's try to take that pawn that's getting in the way here. Well, it's gonna just be in the our piece is just gonna be in the way then. And the bishop's just gonna take the queen there, which is really suboptimal. So do this. And try to move this up. To where a diagonal, another further diagonal out. No, that's not going to work. Can we get us another board that's... There's no king on this one. No, that's not... Okay. Well, I think we might be... This might be a checkmate coming up here. So... I don't know if there's any way I can avoid it at this point other than just running into the past again. So to that end, I'm just going to position this queen in a way that I think is going to give us some flexibility there. But I think this might be a loss unless this happens to work out somehow. And we are in check, or we're checking down here, so that might be a possibility. I think this is probably going to do it though. Let's just see what happens. Oh. Okay, he went back in time. He's scared up here now. So he brought a knight back in time. Didn't see that coming. He didn't take the queen, which is very interesting. So, he's still got... Oh, man, he's got two kings up here. Oh, okay, this would be... Oh, man, we'd have to use the knight, basically, though, and there's no way to move it without getting it captured. But that progresses the time to here. So if he's trying to avoid that... Actually, wait, this bishop... Oh, this bishop is from the future, so it can't check back in time. Or it can't move back. No, it can, because it's in the present there. Ah! I think he's trying to avoid it still, though. Oh, okay, no, don't do that. I think it looks like he's trying to avoid it, so maybe it is a check still. In which case, it's just which of these spots do you want to move the knight to progress to the next move. This one at least makes him move a king, so... Actually, he... Oh, wait, he can't move this king. He can't capture that knight because of that queen. There. That queen would also be able to... Well, it doesn't matter there. This one doesn't matter. Okay, he can't take the knight there, at least. That's... It's not doing any good, though. But it's at least preventing him from moving. So that might actually be sufficient. I think we're still sunk, but let's try it. Oh, wow! Okay. Yeah, multi-board checkmate from that one queen. Oh, boy. Wow. Oh, and this too? Yeah, this check too. Oh my gosh. Okay, so... Whew. How many is that? How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-way check... Oh, 9-way checkmate. Oh man, we were running from that bishop the whole time and ended up creating enough branches where there's a new set of boards that worked out into such a way that the king was just exposed enough where we could get a queen in position to check like all of them at the same time. Wow. That is wild. Screenshot that win. Whew. That's yeah, that's quite a mental marathon to go on like that. I don't even know how long I've been going for. I think 3 hours. Yeah. This game didn't go on that long, but oh man. Okay. Yeah. That's I'm probably gonna call it there. That's ah man. I'm just like my brain needs a second to catch up now. So yeah, that'll be it for this stream, I think. Thank you everybody for watching. Um, I will hopefully be doing another one of these soon if you're interested in doing like watching more of a real-time review like I typically do. This is just a neat, fun thing to do in addition to my normal review content. So um, I will. I have a few games that are shorter that I can probably finish in one setting, and I'm going to try to set up to do a real-time review of. I would like to do it again in the near future, like less than 6 months from now, probably less than a couple months from now. So I'll try to give more advance notice next time too, where just so it's not like a 30-minute notice before I start streaming a review. Yeah, I'm still just kind of amazed that it actually worked out. I thought we were done for there. So, okay, I need to get some food and rest my brain. So, I might be forgetting something, but thank you guys all very much for watching. Um, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this and uh, subscribe if you haven't, like and all that stuff. Um, yeah, my brain's kind of fried at this point, so I'm just gonna end the stream there. Come back if you want. But yeah, thank you guys very much for watching, and hopefully we'll see you again next time. Oh yeah, you at the camera. See ya.